Hey guys, so here is how I made this black hole in DaVinci Resolve. This is based off of a couple of references that I was looking at. The first one is this Geometry Dash level by Cherry Team, where they made a black hole in the editor. And I was trying to copy this type of camera movement and also the shape of it. The second reference I was following was Production Crate's plugin in After Effects. I was trying to replicate this, but didn't get as close as I wanted with DaVinci Resolve's capabilities. And I'd also want to say that my version of this black hole can definitely be improved upon. It is very, very scuffed, but I'll just showcase it. And then anyone who can make a better one, please let me know. I'd love to see how you make it even more realistic. Anyway, let's just get started. So I'm going to show you how I made every single node and then just try to go through it. The first thing we have here is like a swirling pattern with the vortex and noises, a fast noise that has two different ellipses. So we have a fast noise, let's say something like this with, I don't know, just something random for now. And then we want to mask it so that it is only this type of donut shape in the middle. So we want an ellipse and I want another one. So this one can be a little bit smaller. And then we want a little bit of a soft edge and we merge it into the other one. And then we want the paint mode to be invert. We also soft edge this one. So now that we have this donut shape, we can merge it into the fast noise and then just change around the settings a little bit to just try to match the other one. So something like this would be how I made this donut shape. We want to merge it into a vortex node. Vortex. So now it's like this. We bring up the size a little bit, maybe change the power slightly. And then the second part of it was making a smaller but bigger one on the outside. We had another fast noise with a scaled up noise, another vortex, and then transform to be on the outside. Once you merge it together, it would be connected like this, but I turned down the blend a little bit. If we want to do that, we just copy and paste the exact same thing. And then we have this noise. Let's just scale it up a little bit more. Let's try to transform it so that it is way bigger and then just merge it together. So something like this, and then we could turn the blend down again to match this one. And if we want to vary it, we can change the seething. I don't know. These are all just up to your personal preferences. So now that we have this merged together, we want a DVE that transforms it and connects it to all the other merges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a DVE. This would be the main thing that's rotating. We can make a really simple black hole by just using the noises that we have so far. But in my opinion, it will look sort of flat. I'm just gonna go through how to do that just right now if you want a really simple result. Because if we add a dent, and then make sure you have to choose the second dent because the second one has the black hole option. Notice that because it is on top of this layer that already has this disk in front of it, it won't be like this where this noise disk is in front of the dent. So in order to do that, we have to split this up. This is what I meant by it's very, very scuffed because my solution was to split this up into two different channels. We can make a pipe node by just holding Alt and click. I want the back half of it to be dented and the front half of it not to be dented. So we can split this up by doing something like this. We add a merge to the front of it, and then we have a rectangle to mask where it is. We'll need a background to mask it on. I can change the piping by Control T, so that flips it. I'll change the alpha down to 0, and then when we mask it, we want the entire thing, but just on the upper half. So this would be 0.75 to do that. And now when we dent it, it would only be the back half. We want to copy this, paste it over here, use another merge, but instead of the top half, we want to use the bottom half. So now this would be 0.25. After you dent it, we can merge it together to do something like this. One thing to clean this up right now, because it's this choppy, we can, inside the same rectangle, I'm just gonna make this 1.5 because I want to adjust the soft edge of it a little bit. Now that we have something like this, I just changed the dent so that the size is a bit smaller, but the strength is higher. And then we can merge this with a background node so we can actually see it. Control T again to flip it. And then this is what it will look like on a black background. It's honestly okay. Like this could work. And then if you want to animate it, all you need to do is just change the DVE's rotation, which is why I had the time set on this one. I had an expression for time times 5, and this is okay, but I wanted to add a bit more actual 3D elements to it. We can see this huge abomination of nodes. Every single one of these are all fog nodes or volume fog. This node has a bunch of different options to make fog. It is also in 3D. So if you move it around, it will look sort of three-dimensional when you rotate the camera. I'm just gonna delete this because it is the same as what we have set up over here. So now that we have this over here, we can start going into the fog part of it. I will have a a volume fog node. So there's other tutorials on this, but I'm just gonna go through how I use it. I have a 3D merge, a 3D shape, which is a really big sphere. You need to make this really big. You can also turn down the transparency of this. And then you also need a camera. You want to also render it out. So you'll see nothing in this output, but you can connect everything to the fog. You connect the output to the fog as well as the 3D scene to the fog. You need to go to the output channels and also output the world position. So now we have a fog. We can make this to whatever we want. Inside this merge, we have this camera, right? And this camera sort of controls how far this is. It has to be inside the main shape that you're creating. So if it's outside the shape, like you move it outside, there's just no more fog. So it has to be inside this large sphere. If I want to make it look similar to that, I'd have to make the size way bigger, make the noise more detailed, maybe make the gain down or brightness down at least. And then the shape of it, I'd also unlock the XYZ so that I can make it smaller and flatter. I could do something like this, make this edge a bit softer, and then I can increase the noise scale. And then one thing I'm gonna do with this camera is that I'm gonna add a transform in front of it, a transform 3D. I'm just gonna move it up a little bit like this. So now the fog, it will rotate around just like this. Another important thing is the lighting. So inside this volume fog, there is a option for lighting. And right now we have no lights connected, so it'll just be black. I want to make it seem that the light is coming from the center. I'm looking for a point light. So the point light will just stay at the center. I'm going to make it pretty bright, so maybe like intensity 5 or so. Now you can change whatever you want. The main things I was messing around with was the density and the scattering to make it show up less or more on the outside clouds. All of these settings are just what you can mess around with, but this is the general gist of it. Now I'm going to go through what I was doing. So I have the same thing, same setup over here with a shape on the outside and the point light in the middle with the intensity of 0.15. We have a camera over here, the same thing. So here is where the 3D scene is outputted into these fog nodes, and here's where the render is output into the fog nodes. So I'll just go through these one by one. So that is all the fogs that creates this. Unfortunately, I did not find any better way to do this. It's the same exact technique as I did before, where I have this vortex, but I had to split it up with the background being dented and the front overlaid on top. So I have to do the same thing here, which is why for each of these fogs, there's an instance of it, which is the exact same thing, but cut in the middle to make this. And in order to do this, that's why I have this merged into a second branch over here. So first is the sphere in the background with the camera, and then we merge it along with a large plane in the middle. That's target is always pointed at where this is going to be calculated at. So I'll share these in the description if you want to copy it, to make the plane always point towards where the camera is. But we also have a smaller circle in the middle to act as where the black hole is. So once you merge these two together, it's the same thing, but now this is the 3D scene that's going into the fog. Each of these will have sort of like a hole in the middle. So when you merge it all together, it will look like this. And I couldn't figure out a way to actually split it apart so that this main fog is only showing the background. I was messing around a lot with how to, maybe this plane could be inverted or something, but I couldn't figure it out. So this is the best I could do. I just had this merge in the background of it into the dent. So this is what we have right now in the background, and we merge this multi-merge on top of it to look like this, and then we dent everything. And then the second multi-merge, which is only the front part of it, is put into after the dent, like so. So now this is before the dent, and this is after the dent. So this is already pretty convincing. We have sort of like a black hole that has the noises in front of it, and then we can control the positions of everything like this. So I guess now is a good time to explain the expressions of everything that I have. The DVE has an expression of time times 5 so that it's always rotating like this, but that's not the important part. The important part is this X and Y. I linked it up so that this DVE, when you rotate it, it always rotates 3D scene along with it. But when you hover over these variables, you see in the bottom left, it says dve1.x rotation, and then same thing with the y, dve1.y rotation. And this is all connected into this transform. This is what I used in the beginning. When I had over here, I wanted to keep this camera out, but I also wanted a transform so that I can easily rotate this camera around with it staying the same distance away from the center. So we have a camera here and this transform, and this is the expression. So we take the dve1 to x rotation, we multiply by -1 to invert it, and then plus 90 degrees. Now when I move it like this, it would also move the camera. This y rotation is connected to the camera over here instead of the transform. So when I go to this DVE and then rotate the y of it, you see over here the camera is also rotating along with it. If I show this transform and I move this, you can also see the X of this transform being moved. And then the Z rotation is following what my time was doing. So if you look at the 3D scene, the camera is actually spinning on the axis. Okay, now we have this output over here, but when I was rendering out the first time, I didn't really like how it still looked sort of flat. So I just copied the entire thing over here and then pasted over here. So it's the exact same thing, except I have these merges that's shifted up just a little bit. So we have this multi-merge that contains all these fogs, and then we have one that's moved just a little bit higher. And we have the second one over here for the fronts, shifted just a little bit lower. So this is the merge that contains the point light, the transformation, and then the camera. This merge goes into this one over here, and then here is the merge that goes into all the fogs. For the other merge, we took the same 3D scene into that, but also I needed to keep the plane and the sphere in the middle also connected to it. So I had this transform also merged into this 3D merge, and that is what's being used inside these fogs. So it just gave it a little bit more flair, but it doubled the render time. I can just merge it in directly one after the other again. So we have the first merge coming in from here, and we have the second merge coming in on top of it. Once we have the dent, we merge this batch on top, and then we also want to merge this second batch on top to look like this. There's one last little bit that I added in the background. It's just the stars, and it's really simple. The region is just a really large sphere, so that encompasses past the camera. The style is a small blob, and the controls is I set the number to 2000 and then instantly keyframe it to 0 so it doesn't spawn anymore. And all of these have 0 velocity, 0 movement so that they stay in place, and that's the output of it over here. Okay, great. So I think that is pretty much everything of what I was using during the black hole. There's definitely a lot more you can mess around with it. All these fogs, if you want to copy the same thing, you can, but I'd recommend trying to test out all sorts of different settings and layering all different types of fogs to make it look more realistic than mine. After you have everything, you can of course layer on other random effects on top of it. I have this black hole, I had to transform to mimic the first reference that I was talking about. So we have a glow that sort of just ramps up over time, a fast noise with a mass that looks like this, and it just slowly moves down over time. And then the noise itself is just an expression that moves left really quickly. We merge it together. We have a small shake, and we have another larger shake. I want it to be really chaotic when it first comes into the scene, and then as it exits, also be really chaotic. The rest of this is all just flair. You don't really need to add any of it, but I have a video glitch from Boros Effects that adds these small glitch effects. You can probably mess around with something like a digital glitch over here. So if you wanted to, you could probably do something like this instead. We have a chromatic aberration, also an external plugin from Universe. This one, you can probably use like a RGB splitter, and then you could just change these settings a little bit to split like this chromatic aberration. I had a lens flare keyframe from here to here, so it's not really tracking the black hole or anything, it's just manually keyframed lens flare. We have a brightness to fade in and out. I have a pixel sorting plugin at the end of it, animated the range. You can also find this online. I have another Boros Effects damage TV plugin to make this effect. Another universe glitch to just like really make the end chaotic. A film damage also at the end of it to add these types of lines and the dirt, and also a vignette, and then the blackboard is to animate in and animate out with the height. That's pretty much it for this black hole. So again, everything is just up for you to test out and try yourself. I'm just showing you what I did, but of course everything could be made much better. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to explain in the comments. But aside from that, thank you for watching.